For many of us, Zwift racing provides competitive motivation that we need to push ourselves to our limits. However, whether you're an E category racer or an A+, there's certainly an art to it. And perhaps even more so than in the real world, you need technique as well as watts to do well. Today, we're joined by Aaron, who a few weeks ago captained South Africa at the Esports World Champs hosted on Zwift. I'm hoping that he's going to spill the beans on the secrets of smashing the metaverse, including everything from what to set my trainer difficulty at to in-race and setup tricks. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and stick around until the end to see if Aaron can help me smash an ACAT Zwift race. So, Aaron, how am I going to start doing better in Zwift races without training? I don't want to do that.
Well, for me, a good result starts before even stepping anywhere near the bike. Firstly, I'm going to make sure I'm nicely hydrated. I'm going to have a bottle of electrolytes before starting, and then make sure I've got plenty of bottles within arm's reach during the event. You don't want to be stretching around and panicking while you're racing.
I can probably manage that. And then, do you put caffeine in your bottles? Or?
No, for me, I just use an isotonic.
Yeah.
Something that I use outside during road racing. You don't really want to experiment too much and change things or veer too far from what you used to. Yeah. That's going to take adaptation and time, just like training your system. So I try to keep everything as natural and usual as possible.
And then obviously inside things can get pretty warm. Do you put ice in your bottles, help you cool down, or is that
no? I don't think the weather in the UK lends itself to needing ice. Perhaps if the central heating's on.
Yeah.
But
hopefully
no,
not.
no. I just keep it in the fridge, keep nice and cool, and then bring it into the room.
Yeah. And how much should I be trying to get through?
You know, many of these races will have a really fast, frantic start and then settle into an easier pace.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same as what you were doing outside, probably a bottle an hour. You rather want to drink more than not drink at all, because you're going to pay for that later in the race, especially if it's a longer one.
Okay, so fluids, tick. What's next?
Well, cooling is really important. So you're going to want a fan. And you're going to have to remember to turn off the heating a few hours before, because as we already said, you don't want the room to be too hot.
Yeah.
Temperature can make a huge difference to your performance, and without the wind chill from outside, you can overheat, and that's going to obviously impact your performances down the line.
Yeah. Now, I did actually once do an FTP test inside, and there was a whole group of us in a room with the heating on, and we were all sharing a fan, and I went so badly. Like, I think it really can make a huge difference to your performance. Fans needn't cost a fortune. You can pick one up for 15 quid from the local DIY store, and anything's better than nothing, isn't it?
I agree. Or you could just open the window. But the Wahoo headwind works really well, because you can obviously pair that as a regular fan that you can control, or it can work towards your heart rate and your speed within the game.
Yeah, me and Dave are a big fan of the Vac Master as well. That can kick out some serious air. Right, so is there anything else that I need to sort before I even get on the bike?
Absolutely. Next up, you need to make sure that your drivetrain is clean.
You're not going to like mine at all.
Yeah, yours could definitely do some work. So most people will be measuring their power using a smart trainer. So measuring either at the hub, on a direct drive, or at the wheel. Obviously, any power that you put in through the cranks, you want to be reaching your virtual avatar.
I do.
I'll use a freshly waxed chain and an oversized pulley wheel system for target races such as World Champs, Premier Division, or Zwift Grand Prix.
That sounds a bit keen, but I've done my research, and case studies do show that a filthy drivetrain like mine can quite easily result in a drivetrain loss of 2 to 4%. And if you look at the average A race, where you're averaging 300 watts, that's 12 watts, which is pretty significant.
Yeah, imagine adding an extra 12 watts to your FTP. That's a week's solid training for most people. Not only that, but you'll be doing the durability of your components a massive, massive favor.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bike. Yeah, I guess I should also check that my gears are indexed. They just seem to be a little bit out from what they are on the road.
Yeah, that can have a lot to do with the spacing of your cassette. So I do, number one, suggest charging your Di2 if you do have electronic shifting, or getting your gears indexed and set up just according to what's happening on the turbo trainer.
Yeah, and just like racing outside, I guess, there's nothing more irritating than a slipping gear. And when it comes to a sprint, you really want your drivetrain that you can depend on. Like, so you can focus on that kick and not whether your gear's going to slip or something.
Exactly, and speaking of slipping gears and something that you could use potentially as a tip, many of the turbo trainers that get shipped to customers, particularly the Wild Kicker V5 and V6, come pre-fitted with a cassette.
Yeah.
Usually that's a sun race. And what I found is that over time, within a few weeks, the lock ring on that cassette comes loose. I don't know if it's the back and forth movement or the side to side, but that comes loose, loosens all the sprockets, and you start getting skipping gear. So it's worth tightening that up every so often, or replacing that with the lock ring from a Shimano L Turbo cassette.
Yeah, they're all the same, aren't they? So. Okay, so I'm finally ready to get on my bike. A bib short and thin base layer going to be all right?
Absolutely. Anything light that can wick away sweat is good. Topless, obviously, also fine. But if you are racing in the Premier Division or Zwift Grand Prix or World Champs, you got to have a top on. They don't want to show the world your naked body.
You're on camera, aren't you? So.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm on the bike. I guess I'd better enter a race.
Well, not quite. You see, Zwift races go off seriously quick, seriously fast. It's always advisable to do a warm-up. Anything between 10, 30 minutes should suffice. And this is best just to get your legs warmed up and ready, your heart rate kind of nice and pumped. And then obviously it helps to mitigate an injury risk as well. Oh yeah, forgot to mention the setup section about towels. I like a 2 layout, usually have something around my bars and my stem, as you can see here. Then something nearby in my pain cave at home, I've got a windowsill. Have a towel on there just to wipe the face down. Works really well. Also can wipe the sweat off your face, forehead. Works quite well.
I know a lot of Zwifters like the headband, but I don't know if I'm going to have the artificial wind on my forehead. But I guess the cap keeps the sweat out your eyes.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's all someone snapped off an aluminium handlebar from sweat corrosion getting into the headset area.
Yeah.
It can be quite terrible. Especially if you're out the saddle sprinting.
Yeah.
So the whole towel setup and the fan is essentially just to keep you cool, also just to keep that moisture away from your pride and joy.
This indoor riding malarkey is worse than riding outdoors.
It is, but it's addictive and it's fun. Yeah. For me, what works really well going into a race is preparation. Yeah. Not just in terms of the training you've done and your nutrition, all the things we've already covered, but having a look at the terrain.
Yeah.
What's going to be coming up, reference points, scouting out your competition, having a look who's racing, looking at the ranking points.
Competition.
So there's a lot of things that you need to do in terms of being prepared. Best thing that I do is I'll create a meetup, preferably with some of my teammates in my team, and we'll kind of soft pedal the route beforehand, discuss where we feel possible moves could go, where we can save energy, where are the hard parts, and on those hard parts, what to look out for in terms of reference points, where to push, where to save energy. Those are the important things to do.
Well, due to my my lack of organisation skills, we don't really have time to do a full recon, but we can look on like Zwift Insider. They've got all the routes, and then at least we'll know where the hills are.
Exactly, yeah. Zwift Insider is a real help. Eric does some amazing work there, giving people just a bit of insight into what all the courses look like. So let's do it.
And bike choice, I've got to decide what virtual steed I'm going to be riding.
Yeah, it looks like you're on a Tron bike, the Concept 1. I'm on the S-Works Venge with disc.
So yours is definitely fastest in the game.
It's fastest in the game.
For flat courses, yeah.
On a flat course, maybe with a couple of inclines that are draftable.
Yeah.
Box heel is draftable in certain sections. I think the initial approach is quite steep, so it might hold me back a bit there, but the bike you've chosen is perfect for the park course on offer.
Excellent. What I also wanted to talk about is how early I should go to the pen. So I could go now, but is it a myth that I should go early and get a good spot, or?
Well, with the pen, usually they open up 30 minutes before a race.
Yeah.
Something like World Championships, it'll be 60 minutes before the race. Little trick I've learned is as soon as the pen's open, enter it,
Yeah.
get inside, you get a nice gridded position, then you can exit, you can leave, continue your warm-up, and when you go back in, Zwift remembers where you were. So that's a tip that will be, it's pretty handy. And then usually what happens in the pen, or at least on your warm-up, if you're racing at a pretty high level, whether that is Zwift Racing League, A1, Premier Division, Zwift Grand Prix, or World Championships, you've got to do something which is called the dual recording.
Yes.
So
well, I don't, but yes.
So what that does is essentially validate what you're doing in-game.
Yeah.
So you will record from a secondary power meter, whether that's spider-based or crank-based or pedal-based, to your Garmin. When the race starts, you record, you make sure everything's calibrated and zero offsetted.
Yeah.
After the race, you press stop, and then that gets uploaded and away, kind of validates your performance. In Zwift Grand Prix races, we need to send off that secondary file with our Zwift file, and that's analyzed by the team at Zada, who go through it in intricate detail to see if what we did was legit. There were a couple of chaps going around changing their height, and the smaller you are in Zwift in-game, the lower your CDA, the faster you go.
Arrow.
So there was height doping as well.
Should I be pedaling in the pen? I am, so I hope so.
Yes, I mean you can soft pedal in the pen just so your legs don't get cold, but a big mistake I find is even from 10 seconds out, guys are going full bore. By the time the clock goes to zero, they're cooked. And there's a slight delay from when it counts down to zero to being released from the pen. So I would recommend at most start pedaling really hard from 5 seconds. I do it from 2 seconds. But that's on my Wahoo Kicker V6 at home that I know.
Obviously if I'm not pedaling, then I'm screwed.
No, you're out the back. You'll be off the back instantly.
And I've been meaning to ask, there's a suspicious looking wire going from...
So this bad boy I purchased on the internet off eBay before World Champs, and it's essentially a Powerup button. So instead of me frantically reaching my keyboard in a race, I'll show you now. Now press this and it activates my featherweight and boom. That's how it's done.
What should I set my trainer difficulty at?
That's kind of preferential. It's what works for you. I like 50 to 60%. It gives a natural feel. Still allows you to use most of the gears, yet you keep it in the big ring.
And just clarification, some people say it's cheating. It just means you use less of your gears in effect, doesn't it? You still have to put out the same power.
I wouldn't say it's cheating. You still have to put out the same power. It just allows you to use less of your gears, exactly what you said. So 50% spot on, there's no problems with that.
Cool. I'll keep it at that. Where should I be sat in this bunch?
It's best to sit within the first third of the bunch. It helps you kind of save a lot more energy, because if there were an attack to go, or if we were approaching an incline to one of the climbs and you're at the back, once the first guy has launched his attack, it's too late for you to make a reaction. And then just try and feel the draft effect. There's definitely something there. It is slightly nuanced, and it's something that needs to be practiced over time. But a good way of checking that is just matching your speed or your kilometers per hour speed that you can see on the screen. And if that drops as you start dropping your power, you know that you need to put in a little bit of an extra effort just to stay in. So it's about feeling out for those nuances in speed changes. I reckon there might be an attack that goes just before Box Hill at the roundabout, but we'll have to wait and see. There is a nice descent that we can look forward to, where we can use that super tuck to great effect.
How do I super tuck?
Once your speed goes higher than about 55 k's an hour, and the gradient's in excess of -4, your avatar will automatically drop into the super tuck position and maintain speed with the blob, with the bunch. And then you can wipe yourself down, have a swig of the drink, try and recover and just clear some of that lactic acid in the legs.
What I did find though, I did it once and then I got spat out the back when we got to the bottom. So I'm guessing I need to start pedaling, obviously before it flattens off.
It's one of those things I mentioned before. It's about knowing the parcourse, knowing what's coming, anticipating it, and using every advantage to your benefit.
And you said about drafting, every time I look at your screen, you're doing less watts than me, which is very demoralizing. Even on the flats, I know you're a bit lighter, but even on the flats, you seem to be doing less than me. So for the next one, it's a bit late now for this, but how am I going to, what's the best way to improve my drafting?
There are two ways. Race more, get a feel for that, or the easiest way, probably the greatest way you're going to experience more success, is try and do some of those robo-pacer rides. It used to be called pace partners. With those you can pick the watts per kilogram you want to ride at. Usually they're well subscribed. There's usually in excess of 50 to 100 riders.
That's a great way of getting your distance up.
And if you move to the back, set base camp up right at the rear, see how much speed you can carry with as little watts as possible. That's a good way of getting a feel for that draft. And if you did have to fall back, it's not going to take much to get back on.
Okay, so I've got this Powerup. Do I save it? Do I use it?
That's up to you. That's all depends on your tactics, either as a solo rider or if you're racing for a team. Usually the three most popular is aero, draft and feather. Obviously the feather you want to use on box heel in a decisive moment where you're struggling to hold on. Aero is best kept for the finish, the sprint. And the draft, as we've just previously alluded to, just helps you put out less power in the bunch. Just improves that. So I try and hold on. I'm not a sprinter. So for me, if I get an aero power up, I keep it till the end. I don't use it. I'll just go a little bit deeper on the climb. But in a sprint, I need the aero power up. And the sprinting tactics are varied. They're different for every single race. Guys are starting to go really long on their sprints. Before it used to be 200, 300 meters out. Guys are going with like 700 meters to go now. So what I try to do is I look in the right-hand side column when the numbers start going orange. I try kind of dial in a little bit of power, try and sit on a couple of the wheels. Slowly start ramping that up. And then from 500 meters out, I kick as hard as I can. And I just close my eyes and pick my power up and hope for the best.
What could go wrong?
Jamie, you do know this is indoors and aero means nothing.
What should I be doing?
Just suffer, man. Just suffer.
So, there we go. Just one race being mentored by an expert. And I've already done better than I have just about ever done before. As with anything with cycling, there's no replacement for practice, is there? Now, if you have any other tips and tricks that you think we've missed, then drop them down in the comment section below. And if you found this useful, then please drop us a like, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, as well as some out in the real world. Less sweaty, I hope. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the virtual world very soon.